welcome to According to Courtney. I'm Courtney West. I'm a full spectrum doula, doula mentor, and childbirth educator. I am here and welcome to my space. At According to Courtney, we take our time to have a safe space where we talk about subjects such as Black maternal health, mental health, filling your cup, and sex and everything in between. Today, I am super excited for us to talk about a subject that you hear a lot about, but not really fully discussed. Well, you're hearing people talk about wanting to do the poly lifestyle. You'll see it on television. They have TV shows about it now. You'll see a lot of people talking about having poly lifestyle of having 2 girlfriends or 4 boyfriends and not really understanding what comes with polyamory and there's different types. So today I have a great guest who lives in that poly lifestyle who's going to come and explain what that really looks like to us. So we're bringing in the Black Roxanne. Hi. So I'm so excited to have you in our space, and thank you for being on According to Courtney today.
Of course. I'm excited.
I'm so super excited to have you. So anytime I bring someone into space, I always like to ask them 3 questions to just kind of bring into the space and see what your message is for today. So first, I like to ask you, what's your name? So what's the origin of your name? Where are you from? Or where your people are from? And then 3, what information do you want to bring into the space today to share with everybody?
Okay. First, I'm Roxanne. My people are from Jamaica, but I was born in DC. Spent the majority of my life in Florida, so I can officially say I'm a Floridian. And one of the biggest things that I want to say to everybody is be open-minded. One of my things I'd say is, who am I to judge at this point in my life? You know, don't yuck someone else's yum. Just because it's not for you doesn't mean it's not for someone else. So be open-minded.
I love that. Thank you so much. And I'm glad that you put that down there. And again, According to Courtney, it's a safe space. And I want to just reiterate that for people, for all types of people, to be able to talk about subjects that are maybe really difficult or be considered taboo in other spaces. So this is one of them that people get kind of like, ooh, what does this mean? So even in the comments you guys have, just really be mindful on what you say and how you move. So I want you to really tell me about this lifestyle and what brought you to want to live this type of lifestyle, polyet lifestyle.
So when I was younger, every girl allegedly dreams of her wedding day, right? She's going to marry this one man and she's going to have this white dress. And I never wanted that. I always dreamed that I would have like 4 or 5 husbands. And I didn't see why I could only have one. And I saw a couple TV shows with other Black people who had multiple husbands or multiple wives. And I'm like, oh, that's a thing we could do. I didn't know that because I grew up very conservative Christian. Mm-hmm. So I did the marriage thing. I had the kids and the marriage thing didn't work out. And I said, I had the kids, so I don't have to worry about that. Now I can enjoy my life. And my life revolves around my needs for attention. I like attention. Mm-hmm. And I didn't think it was fair with having a crazy schedule with kids to expect one person to be able to work around my schedule, because realistically, we all have lives. Mm-hmm. And now that we're in our late 30s, we pretty much all have kids. So having these different schedules, it wasn't really feasible to say I have one partner. And I know some people would say, well, that's something you work it out, you make it work. But realistically, it's not fair, right? Because it builds resentment when you want to see your person, but you can't because of this or that. So I said, why don't I just get my group of people and fully live the poly life that I've wanted to live this whole time? And I'm happy.
That's so cool. So you said a group of people. What is a group for you?
So they actually call them polycules usually. And it usually means you and however many partners you have. And some of the times the partners will interact with each other. And then in my instance, which is solo poly, my partners do not interact with each other, but they all know about each other.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So you just brought up an interesting part, because I've never heard of a polycube or solo poly. Can you break down the different types of poly so people can understand what that looks like?
Okay. So the first thing I talk about, these are not technically poly. So there's polyandry, which is one woman with multiple husbands, but usually those are a group of people who live together. Mm-hmm. And of course, we all know polygamy. It's everywhere, but it's again one man with a group of wives, and they all usually live together. Mm-hmm. Then there's polyamory. So amory is love, right? So it just means multiple loves. In polyamory, emotions are involved. It's not just physical. And usually you don't have to all live together, but you might have like a primary partner who you live with. It's kind of up to your own personal beliefs. Lately, we have seen these letters ENM, which means ethical non-monogamy. Now, those people are not technically poly. They usually have a partner that they've married or a primary partner that they live with, and then they can date outside of the relationship, but emotions are not usually involved in E&M. It's usually just a sexual thing, right?
Okay. So like when you're hearing those open relationship type of
Yes.
things, that's more of what that plays into.
Yes. But
Okay.
everyone's aware, everyone's above board. Sometimes, you'll meet the person's wife or husband. So it's a little less open relationship-y where someone's clearly cheating. It's not like that,
Okay.
And then there is solo poly, solo poly is basically just regular polyamory, except you have no desire to live with any of your partners. You want to stay in your own space. You don't want to share finances or anything like that. You just live by yourself. That's what I do, because I don't want to share my children with anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I might love them, I don't share my kids.
Okay. So I wanted to like touch on that too. It's like, as a mother living this lifestyle, how do you balance out having, your spouses? Is that a good way to put that?
Yeah, I say partners, but
Partners. All right.
We're not going to go. I'm never going to get married again.
Okay. All right.
But
I understand. So having your partners and then having your children, is there any interaction between? How does that work?
So my children have never met any of my partners. I have no plan of them meeting them. Whenever I see my partners, I leave my house. My kids are home. Either I have a sitter or they're with their father, but I go to my partner's houses. We go on dates just like regular couples. We hold hands, we kiss, we hug, we cuddle, but my kids don't have nothing to do with it.
Okay.
I've never met them.
Okay. I see that. So a lot of times, what are some of the misconceptions that you see with people are saying they're poly? Because like a lot of times you'll see online, you'll see someone, see me as like, yeah, I want, multiple wives, but I don't want to pay any bills, so we can all split it, and say, I want poly. It's like, well, is that really poly, or are you just trying to figure out how to not have to have so many finances? Or you hear men saying, oh, I want an open relationship, I want to be poly, and say, well, why do you want to be poly? Because I want to have multiple women. Mm-hmm. Okay, but I want them all to be committed to me.
Then that would be polygamy, not poly.
Okay, so what is the difference, and can like hit some of the misconceptions for me?
Okay, so in traditional poly, both partners are able to have someone else outside of the relationship if they choose to. Mm-hmm. Whereas polygamy is, like you said, they're all dedicated to me. Same with polyandry. They're all dedicated to me. All the men only date me. Okay. That's not what I do. My partners, the one partner doesn't have any other partners, but the other one does date occasionally. Mm-hmm. And one of my partners is married. So, okay. And his wife also she's bisexual, so she has female partners only, but that's her choice.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So the big misconception there with the sharing of the finances, I mean, you could do that with a roommate. Right. You don't have to involve emotions or sex in that. That's a personal preference, I suppose. But if all your partners are okay with it, then, I mean, poly looks like what you say it is.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So there is that freedom with it, because it seems a lot of times it seems really murky when people are like, I want this, because I feel like people don't know the difference between polygamy and poly lifestyle. Yeah. And it does kind of start to mush hand in hand. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like this lifestyle is more misogynistic, or do you feel like this is more of an equal playing ground?
So personally, I've seen more men say they're poly than women. Mm-hmm. But it could just be because of my personal search preferences. But I will say that it is a pretty male-dominated subspecies, because finding that perfect specimen of a man is a lot harder for some women than others, because you have different tastes, right? So I will say that, when you have a guy who's committed to having a relationship, but he's open to being poly, it's a lot easier for women to find that person than it is for a man to find a woman who is okay. You know, like for me being a girl in this, it's a little weird. It's a little less so obvious. I've never come across another poly woman.
What do you think that women kind of stray away from this type of lifestyle?
Honestly, it's our upbringing, like our societal norms. We're taught that you should be dedicated to one man and one man only. Like you can't, what's the word we used to say, fix a man's plate? Like you can't fix a man's plate if you're fixing 3 other guys' plates, right? But why can't you? Why can't you have that same love and emotions for someone else and take care of them the same way? Because at the end, they're also taking care of you. It's not one-sided, you know? And I think that's one of the other misconceptions. It's not one-sided. My partners all take care of me. If I'm having a bad day and I need to talk, we talk. If I'm having a fight with another partner and I need a male's perspective, we talk. Communication is huge. You cannot neglect that because jealousy will happen and then there's resentment and hurt feelings and it doesn't work. So I think that's, you know, that's one of those things where you also have to feel how you feel personally. Like, are you open to that communication? How do you communicate? A lot of people don't. They don't say what they mean. They say what they think you want to hear.
I think that's really important to hold space for that. Like, I think in all relationships, you'll see that, you know, people tend to tell you what you want to hear versus how they really feel. And I think maybe that might be some reasons why a lot of women are in poly, because you're kind of taught not to say how you feel. You're supposed to say what makes the other person happy.
I don't have that problem. I always say, don't ask me a question if you want me to lie to you. I will not tell you what you want to hear. I'll tell you how I feel. And if it hurts your feelings, well, put your big boy britches on and go cry about it in the corner and we can talk when you're ready.
I'm done. I love it. So I'm so done. So as in seeing Black and brown people, how do you see them in this lifestyle? Do you see a lot of Black and brown people in the poly lifestyle? And when you do, how does it sometimes show up?
So I have seen a couple Black people. They're on the swinging websites usually, and it'll be a Black couple, and it's always like, oh, we want a third to join us, and that's kind of how they start their poly journey. And it might end with just a third, but I do see a lot of Black couples. I actually met a really nice couple, and I just let them know, like, I can be part of this couple, but I also have partners if you're okay with that. And they're fun. It was very fun. But outside of that, usually it's like a crossover of the kink community, and by kink I mean BDSM, and then usually it's like Black superiority type groups, and then they only want other Black people, but there's a very large community there. So that's the only 2 places that I see Black people, but it is a pretty white dominated lifestyle right now.
Okay, so those ones that you just mentioned, because I've never even heard of that, what is that section of for that you are seeing Black people show up in this type of community?
Right. So the Black superiority people, they are all about Black love, not not sharing what's the word I'm looking for? So a lot of times Black people are fetishized in any lifestyle period, and they don't want to deal with that. So it's a very exclusive group. They have meetings, and there's huge meetings, lots of Black people, but it's like, because we're so hidden, if you don't find those groups, you kind of feel like you're out here swimming in a sea of whiteness by yourself, right? And now you're being fetishized. Like my partner and I, we go to the nudist resort, and you know, he's very attractive. I'm not ugly. And we get hit on all the time. And I'm like, that's a reality, is because we're a fetish, you know? Like a white man always wants to see a Black guy having sex with his wife, and the wife is like, whatever my husband wants to do. And of course the husband fetishizes Black women. So those Black superiority groups are dedicated to get rid of all of that, to have a place where you can just be Black without someone gazing on you lustfully in a way that makes you uncomfortable, you know? Because obviously you want someone to find you attractive and be lusting after you, but not the creepy way, you know?
Right, absolutely. And feeling like a fetish is something very different, because it's very demeaning.
Yes.
It's not fun anymore. It's not like alluring. It's very demeaning. You feel degraded, because then, you know,
you're not
You're an object. That would be my concern. I don't want to be anyone's object in that manner when I'm having sex or being
And
in
that's
that
not
type
to
of.
say that I don't, as I call it, color. I don't color with only black crayons, I color with the full spectrum of the box. But I always ask, have you ever been with a black woman before? Because I will not be anyone's first.
Why is that?
Because usually it's a fetish.
Okay.
I've always wanted to be with a black woman, but I could never do it. Well, why couldn't you? I don't know. They're just not into me. That's a red flag. There's probably something wrong with you. Because why would a black woman not be into you? Just because she doesn't like white men or Hispanic men or Asian men, whatever. But like, what is wrong with you? Why a black woman never picked you? Because I will not be the first.
Okay. All right. I love your boundaries. And you said, so that group is, and you said another group?
It's swingers usually. And
is that different than poly, or how does?
No, I mean, it could be. Usually swinging though doesn't involve emotions. It's just partner swapping.
Okay.
There's like full swap, which is you guys can go actually have sex and you can split rooms. Then there's soft swap where you just want like oral or hand plays. And then there's people who just like want to meet with like-minded people, but they don't actually do anything. So in that community, I do find a lot of black people, which was exciting because when I started in that community, 10 years ago, it was me. I felt like it was just me. And if it wasn't just me, it was like a single black guy who would make a conquest to sleep with as many wives as possible. But that's obviously not me. So now finding other black people and like being like, yay, we're out here. I'm not alone. It's great. It's really great.
That's so awesome. So when you're having partners and you're doing this, I always think about health concerns. How do you keep yourself safe and still be intimate with all your partners? So in a way, I'm trying to think how I want to ask that question. As like, how are you able to be intimate with all your different partners, but still keep your health safe and their health safe? Do you always, how does that go?
So just like with any other relationship, you need to have the talk of, do you get tested? How often? Do you have your last test results? Don't be afraid to ask if they have their most recent test results. If they are offended, you walk away. Okay. That's part of the open communication. You should be able to talk about those things. For me, I had a hysterectomy, so pregnancy is not a concern, but that's also a conversation you should have. What does that look like for us if there's an oops baby or whatever? Personally, I get tested every 3 months. It's just the thing I started when I was 18, even while I was married, even though at the time I was only with my husband, I still got tested every 3 months. It's just for peace of mind. As far as my partners, the one is in the military, so he gets tested every 6 months. And then the other partner, he's only with me. And I know that sounds like, if he's only with me, no, he really is only with me. Because when he's not with me, he has his kids. But he also gets tested yearly, which is fine. You can talk about protection. You should talk about protection. Talk about hygiene. I know when people want to get intimate, they get really excited and they want to try all the things, but like, you should not go back to front. It's not good for your anything down there.
Yeah.
Even if you're really clean, you shouldn't. You should not go back to mouth either, because again, but those are conversations you have to have because some people get really excited and they're just like, oh, it's like it's a playground. No, it's really not. There's levels to this. Safe, sane, consensual is a thing. And part of being safe is making sure that you're healthy. So take your showers and brush your teeth, floss, and get tested. And it's not a conversation that should be uncomfortable. It's not. If you can't say when's your last test, you should not be having sex, period.
And I think that's really important to be talking about. It's like, being safe is the most important thing, period. I think that's a big misconception with this word about living in that lifestyle. It's like, oh, the higher risk of getting STIs and not having that, but having that say so of like being honest, having clear, honest communication above everything means a lot. and
Yeah.
says a lot. And I don't think that's something that people really think about when it comes to this lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
That if you're not being truthful, there's no point.
Mm-hmm. And on the topic of STIs, I just want to put this little caveat out here. Condoms do not protect you against herpes.
Yes.
So if you think that, you're wrong. It doesn't protect against herpes. It protects against everything else, pregnancy and all the other STDs, but herpes you can get regardless. And the only reason I say that is because I remember when Usher came out and everyone heard he has herpes and all these people are panicking and freaking out.
Mm-hmm.
A large population of the world that has herpes, something like 30%. It's very large. So not saying you have to be okay with it, but be upfront about it. Tell people. There's a lot of profiles where they'll just say on their HSV2 and just leave it like that. They don't say anything else. But ask the questions that you need to ask. Don't be afraid to ask, you know? I mean, it's not the end of the world if you get them. There's medication out there, there's treatments, but it's uncurable. So be honest, right? There's no need to lie. And again, condoms do not protect against herpes. So wear your condoms to get protection against everything else, but do due diligence. Don't be naive.
Right. I think it's important for people to, like, you know, I think sexual culture is always like, you gotta like have sex in the dark and you don't look. No,
I love
look, turn the lights on, get the
love
flashlight
lights on.
out. I like look it up, lift it up. Yeah, I want you to see all of it, but lift them balls up. You need to look at some things to make sure that you're safe. And also for men, you need to open it up. You better look in there. You need to look on the baubles. You need to know what you're looking at, so you know, hey, this is for safety reasons. You know, it's very personal. It's the most personal part of yourself, but it's not a personal thing. I need to see.
Yeah.
And I think definitely being a nurse plays into that for me. I'm like, no. Let me see. Especially, you know, we're new. I have seen
okay. Pictures of downstairs, not for like, here, girl, look at this. No, we're like, am I okay? Does this look bad? I promise you, it's not. But if you're worried, go get tested.
Right. I think that's really important. It's just like, you know, safety in this work. And I think it's something really important that you touched on is that poly is about love.
Yes.
You've mentioned before about like jealousy and things like that. How do you balance out? Because people always say you can't love multiple people like that. There's only one. How do you balance out showing love to your different, you know, partners? And how do you split time with your partners?
So communication is huge. I think I said that at the beginning. My first partner, when we got together, I told him, you know, I'm poly. He said, same here. And he said, this is great. And then he told me he was going to go on a date. And I was like, excuse me. And then I was like, wait, why did I have that feeling? I'm not a jealous person. And I mean, he was talking to me about her. She seemed nice. And I was like, but I don't know. So I said to him, when you told me that just now, I got a little jealous. Not gonna lie. He's like, I could see it. I said, I don't know why that is. I don't feel threatened by this girl that you want to just take on a date. It's not like he said, oh, you know, we're going to go on a vacation together. It's just a date.
Right.
And he was like, well, let's talk about it. And so we talked and we hugged, and he assured me that that doesn't change my station in his life. And, you know, the girl didn't work out anyway. So I was worried for no reason. But actually, I was talking to you earlier, Courtney, like I went to his house last night because he had been working and he went on vacation and his kids came over and I hadn't seen him in over a month. And I was like, hey, I miss you and I want to see you. And he's like, well, let's go out and let's go on a date and spend the night together. And we did. And it was really fun. Like, you know, just connecting again and, you know, holding hands and cuddling and doing all the sweet lovey-dovey things and kissing and hugging. Like, that's what you need. Do whatever you need to feel like you're with your person, you know? And, you know, again, like, because life is crazy, the night before, my other partner, my kids they went on vacation with their grandparents and I was sad. And I was like, I need attention. I'm sad. And he said, okay, I'll be there. And he came and hugged me and reassured me that I'm still a good mom, even though I sent my kids away on vacation. And he just let me know, like, it's okay to feel upset. And I had that place to have my emotions and no judgment, right? Because normally when you want to share your emotions, you think that, at least for girls, you think the man's gonna be like, oh, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to deal with that. And so you keep it inside. But no, like, we talk and we text every day. We send pictures back and forth, when like what you would do with a regular partner who you can't see every day. Actually keep that communication alive and be truthful, be honest, be vulnerable, which is hard for people. But if you can't trust this person to be vulnerable with, then why do you trust them with your body?
Right. Like, that makes a lot of sense.
That you wouldn't trust with your body.
But it's very interesting that you say that, because I feel like in sexual culture, we are so quick to have sex, but we are not quick to be vulnerable and have intimate conversations. Yeah. And I find that very interesting, with poly and how you discuss your client. You're not your clients, I'm sorry. I'm thinking work. I think it works. Sorry. But like, you have your partners that you can be vulnerable and be very intimate with each of them and really get to see a part of yourself. Do you feel like that's what you enjoy about it? That you can fully be yourself with multiple people, like have multiple validations of, okay, I'm good.
It's a place of comfort and relaxation. Your partner should not be a source of stress for you. It should be the place where you feel at home, where you feel happy to just let your hair down, like, hell, take your wig off, like take your bra off and be physically and emotionally naked in front of this person.
I love it.
They are giving you the same energy. If you don't feel like they are, move on. And that's the other thing too. A lot of people, when they're dating someone, they hold on so tightly when they know the relationship is not working, because they're like, I'm so invested emotionally. But are you invested emotionally, or are you afraid to be alone? Because that's really the difference. I'm not afraid to be alone. I've been alone. But at the same time, use that time to learn who you are as a person, what you will and will not put up with, because it doesn't matter how many partners you have. If you don't know yourself or your clear boundaries, you're going to fall for BS every single time and you'll be miserable. Ooh. So I don't do that. I definitely tell them what I will and will not put up with. And if they cannot comply, then they're gone. I don't have to waste my time. There's no fear of being alone. I mean, even if I had no partners, I'm not afraid to be alone. So don't go into this thinking, I don't want to be alone, I'm going to have 15,000 partners. Like, no, you need to know who you are first.
I think that's beautiful. And I think that's a great segue for us to take a break and listen to Blast Music of the Week.
Sounds good.
All right, awesome.
Alrighty, dighty. Great topics, ladies. I'm loving everything in the background. You know me, I'm a sponge. Anywho, the Blast Artist Spotlight is sponsored by Blast Radio 247. This is our boy. Oh, I'm going to tell you this, Courtney, after we play the music.
Okay.
This is Hakeem Romance, and this is called R&B Talk. Let's check it out.
All right.
Yeah. We missing no cook. Mr. Romance in the building. Shed some light on a few things. Yeah.
I think I'm Usher Raymond. Trigger Trey. I hit the stage, better keep your girl in check.
Okay.
Move like I'm David Buffin, sing like I'm Marvin Gaye, make hits like Billy Paul. Ooh, I'm telling y'all.
Oh yeah.
Usher Raymond, Trigger Trey.
That's right.
I hit the stage, better keep your girl in check.
Go ahead.
Move like I'm David Buffin, sing like I'm Marvin Gaye, make hits like Billy Paul. I got that new school mixed with that old soul. Just blended hit notes like I'm Eddie Kendricks. Had to do my homework, had to hit them zones first. It was so many lessons learned. I knew that little child was running wild. Watch it while he never smiled. Papa gone, broken home. Mama tied he all alone. He had help along the way, so it's alright, yeah. Ay. So now I got the moves like Usher. She gets into it, no question that she all on me, cause she wanna G, yeah. You know, it's probably that she likes it my way, my way. I think I'm Usher Raymond, Trigger Trey, yeah. I hit the stage, better keep your girl in check. Move like I'm David Buffin, sing like I'm Marvin Gaye, make make hits like Billy Paul. Ooh, I'm telling y'all. Usher Raymond, trigger trade. I hit the stage, better keep your gun in check. Move like I'm David Puffin, sing like I'm Marvin Gaye, make hits like Billy Paul. I feel like I got the glow. If you ain't know, in the middle of the stage when I sing in the mic, ladies they be falling, crawling. This one for the hood.
One time.
Eastside, what's good? About to bring back with the game like that's understood. Talking about that love making music, that type that you wanna give. Just what your lady asking for. Talk about that club play, role play. Either way, let it play. And we can go half on a baby. While we try some role play. You can do what I say, I can do what you say. You can have it your way. I think I'm Usher Raymond. Trigger trade. I hit the stage, better keep your girl in check. Move like I'm David Puffin, sing like I'm Marvin Gaye, make it like Billy Paul. Ooh, I'm telling y'all. Usher Raymond, trigger trade. I hit the stage, better keep your girl in check. Move like I'm David Puffin, sing like I'm Marvin Gaye, make it like Billy Paul.
Yes, indeed, and that is our boy Hakeem Romance with R&B Talk. And if you are an independent artist, spoken word poet, or even an up-and-coming comedian looking for some exposure, you can go to blastmusic247.com and register for free. But Blast is also needing the fans, so fans of music, you can go to blastmusic247.com, register as a fan, and have access to hundreds and hundreds of independent music. Blast is changing the industry one artist at a time. Now, Miss Courtney, I told Mr. Hakeem Romance about what should we call it? Project Baby Making. So
yes.
He is there of always making the music to help with the cause.
So we got it. The way to pay these baby bills is that we need you to have baby making music, because without the babies, I ain't getting paid. So music makes a difference.
There it is.
I like that song. I really liked it.
So Hakeem got a kick out of that, but he said, okay. All right, so back to you.
Oh, I love it. So thank you so much. I always love having the different blast music over on Courtney. I always say, if it's not baby making music or something inspirational, we're not interested. So, and now we're coming back with our wonderful guest, Roxanne. So we're sitting here talking about the poly lifestyle, and I want to talk about, if people are interested of doing the poly lifestyle, how would they even kind of like tiptoe into doing this?
So it's easier when you're single to do, obviously, because you don't have to talk this over with anyone. But if you are in a relationship, the first step is having that conversation with your partner. Ask them how they feel. A lot of times you'll see the girl say, well, I don't mind if you want to sleep with someone else, but I don't want to. That's fine, but also understand what that looks like for you. If it's just sex or if it involves emotions, because poly involves emotions, right? E&M, swinging do not involve emotions. It's just sex. As far as that goes, also ask your man how he feels about you sleeping with other men. And I'm putting this in the context of men and women, but there are homosexual couples in the lifestyle too.
Okay.
And the topic is the same. You have to talk. Like, I can't stress that enough. Talk every day. Tell exactly where you're at in the moment. Don't wait. Don't hold on to it until you can come up with a better argument. Sometimes I have these emotions that I don't know why I'm having them. I don't know what this is about. And the best thing to do is say, hey, I need to talk to you about something, but like, I don't know what exactly it is I want to talk to you about. So do you mind if I just like brain dump and then we can pick through it later? But talk. You can't not talk. After that, if you guys are both in agreement, set rules for your relationship. There are some people, like the one partner who's married, when we went out on our date, he checked in with his wife every couple hours just so she knew he was okay.
Okay.
I don't care. That to me is a good husband. Like, you should let your partner know where you are at all times.
Right.
And then when he was going home, he texted her that he was on the way home, which, yeah, But then, of course, she's like, hey, text me when you get home, so that he knew that I was safe. There's for them, that's their rule. The other rule is no spending the night. That's their rule.
Okay.
Which that's fine. But for me, one of my things is if I'm going to spend the day with you, then I also want to spend the night with you. So my partners who don't have another partner at home, I sleep at their house.
Okay.
And if I have to go to work the next morning, I bring my work stuff with me. If I have to go to the gym, I bring my gym stuff. They know all of my life. But set your boundaries, set your guidelines and your rules for your relationship. That's important. But also that goes along with the communication. You can't set rules if you can't talk.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So say, okay, so I've set the rules, I've had the talk. What do I do?
So a lot of times they will turn to dating apps like Tinder. You will see on there someone saying, oh, we're looking for a unicorn. That is not poly, that is swinging. Okay. You're looking for a unicorn. What that is a single bisexual female who's okay playing with couples. That's a unicorn. On the flip side to a unicorn is a bull. And a bull is a single male who is okay sleeping with another person's wife. That could mean solo or the husband watching. Again, that's not poly, that's swinging.
Okay.
But usually they'll go to a dating site and you'll see on there a lot of times, as far as a girl, because I just view the men's side, but you'll see a guy and he'll put E&M. E&M, again, is not poly. I can't stress that enough. And one of my things is if someone says they're E&M, I need to talk to their partner. Either I'm talking to them or you're texting them in front of me. But I don't want it to be a secret cheater, because that's what E&M can sometimes really mean. Okay. I'm telling you that I'm ethically non-monogamous, but my partner doesn't know that I'm ethically non-monogamous.
Okay.
Cheating. So be aware that, again, ask questions. If you're afraid to ask them, then you should not be with them. Period. You shouldn't be afraid of your partner in any capacity. After that, you can talk to people, and it's just like regular dating. Plan a date, do the whole date thing. If you're a girl who likes a man to open your doors and pull out your chairs, then your date should be doing that. And if they don't want to, then that's not for you. Period. There's too many people out here to waste your time with someone who can't meet you where you're at. There's no point.
That's really important.
And I always put, I'm a princess. That is not a title. That's my gender identity. So I expect certain behaviors from the person who's spending time with me. And if you cannot treat me like a princess, bye.
Okay, so since you're into this, what is the gender identity of a princess? Because this is a new one for me.
I like to dress up. I like to look very nice when I go out. I expect my doors to be opened. I expect my chairs to be pulled out. And that includes my car door. I shouldn't have to touch that door. And then as far as the date goes, and I know this is going to sound so uppity, but I don't pay for men ever, even if we're in a relationship. I don't mind splitting something with you. Or like if you bought dinner, I buy drinks. That's fine.
Okay.
On our first date, I'm not paying for nothing. If I go on a date, I always have money for myself. And I'm not going to go out and buy the most extravagant thing on the menu. I'll buy what I would normally eat. I'm not trying to use this person as a wallet, right? I just want to see if this person is 100% comfortable sharing whatever that capacity looks like. Because a lot of men think, oh, I paid for the date, so then sex is the next part of it. It's transactional. This is not transactional. So I'm not going to pay for my date. If you can't pay for both of us, I'll pay for myself and you can figure it out. And I don't drive with my date to my dates. I always drive my own vehicle. That's a safety thing, girls. Don't drive with your date, because if you guys get into an argument or there's something that happens, you are now stuck with this person driving you home. And also, the stranger knows where you live. I don't let people know where I live.
I think that we should really give some clarity to that. What are some safety things and tips you would give to people wanting to live in this poly lifestyle, away from sexual safety, but physical safety? You're meeting people and things like that. And I love that you said that you don't let people drive. You don't drive with them. They don't know where you're at. What are some other things that you do to keep yourself safe?
These rules are kind of rules for everyone, not just if you're poly. Especially for me, I've never met someone in person before I've dated them except for the one partner, because I met him at his work, but everyone else I've met online. So what I do, number one, is get as much information from them as you can. You don't have to get last names if they don't want to, but get a real phone number. There's a website that I will not tell you, but you can look up their phone number and make sure that it's a real number. If it's a Google Voice number, don't bother.
Okay.
No, because why can you not be honest? If they only want to talk via Snapchat, no, don't bother.
What if they don't want to talk to you through WhatsApp?
WhatsApp is fine because you have to have a real phone number for WhatsApp.
Okay.
And it is technically their cell phone number, which I don't even know what difference that makes, but okay, do you, boo?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, but when I say get all you can, if they got social media, get the social media. If they won't give it to you, look them up. You can usually do a reverse email search if they emailed you, or just type in what information you know. Their phone number usually brings up something. Do your due diligence. And when you put their contact info in your phone, put everything you've learned about them in your phone, where you met them, what car they drive. If they give you their address, save that address in your phone. If you're going to go meet them on a date, put it in your phone's calendar, including their contact info. So let's say I met this guy named Ryan on Tinder, and Ryan and I are going to go to Cheesecake Factory in Tampa. So I'll put Ryan-Tinder in my phone with his phone number, and then any information I found about him. He lives here, he drives this car, whatever. And then on the calendar, I put went on date with Ryan from Tinder, and I put the address of where we're going.
Okay.
That's safety, because the police can always access your phone records if anything happens to you. So as much information as you can give. Then on the flip side, send your GPS location to a friend.
Yeah.
If you don't have one that you trust, there's an app called Noonlight, Noonlight. It's Tinder actually has it on their website too, but it's an app that you download on your phone, and you can put in there where you're going and your dates and all that, but it has a panic button on it. So when you go on your date, if at any point in time you don't feel safe, you can push the panic button on your phone, and as long as your finger is down on that button, they know you're safe. Once you let it off because the person took your phone or threw your phone, it immediately tags your GPS location, and then it can send it to whatever contact you have listed on there, but it can also send it to the police. So there's ways to cover yourself. Don't go out there blindly. It doesn't make sense in this, almost 2024.
Right.
We've heard too much about women going missing from dates. Men too, but mostly women, and it's always Black women. So, do your due diligence. But if you have an iPhone, you can send your GPS indefinitely to a friend who you trust, and it'll always be logged on the Find My iPhone. If you have Google, an Android phone, you can send the same thing, but if the person has an iPhone, it's just a link. But my friends have done it for me, and I've done it for them. Somebody needs to know where you are or where you last were. And if you change your destination, let's say you decide not to go to Cheesecake Factory, change that location in your phone too.
Okay.
Send that to somebody, anybody. Even if you just send yourself an email with the information, make sure that there's always a paper trail. It's not something to play with. Even if you trust this person with your organs, don't trust them that much. Give some paper trail. That's really important.
Thank you for sharing that. And I feel like sometimes that's an apprehension for a lot of Black women when they talk about dating and period, that they're scared. It's scary. Dating is scary, and especially when you're having multiple people, that can get a little hairy. So when you're dealing with, you're talking about how you're dealing with your emotions with jealousy, how do your male partners, your partners period, but your male partners deal with the jealousy, or is there jealousy with having to share your time?
So I had a partner who I really cared about, and he said he was poly, but he came from a monogamous relationship. And at first it was fine. But when he started to develop feelings for me, it started to be less fine, because he started to see my other partners as someone who could provide something for me that he could not provide because he was busy or he had his kid. That's not what that was about. These are people I care about and I don't want to not be with, right? So while I care about you, you're not really fitting with the rest of my poly group now. you are kind of being demanding of my time all the time. Which, if I have the free time, I don't mind dedicating a specific day of the week to someone. I don't mind that. But you were starting to get jealous every time I would go somewhere, even if it was just out with friends. That was the problem. And talking over it with him and saying, like, you know, no matter what I'm doing, it doesn't change your standing in my life. And he's like, I know, but I still get frustrated and it hurts me. And I'm like, well, you have to decide if this is still for you. And, you know, he did play the back and forth game for a little, but ultimately he said, I can't do this. And I said, that's more than okay. I wish you the best, and go live your life and enjoy it. Hopefully you find whatever it is that you're looking for. It's not me. That's okay. So that's kind of, you know, communication. You have to talk about it. And it may suck, especially if you like the person. I really liked him, but I don't believe in being selfish and keeping someone if I'm hurting them inadvertently because they can't get over this. Yeah.
So this sounds like you have to be very selfless and selfish at the same time to have a healthy poly relationship. Is that correct?
Yeah, you give of yourself, period. You can't hold anything back. But at the same time, be selfish. If this person is not working, and don't look at it as like a numbers game. I can't look at it like, well, I have 2/3 partners over here who we work really well together, but my fourth partner is not working out, but I want to keep him. No, if it doesn't work for your group, period, they have to go. It doesn't matter how many people are on one side versus the other. You know, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
I think that's cool, and that's very important. So your partners, do they talk to each other?
No, they don't.
Okay.
They do know of each other, and the two partners that I talk about the most, they would probably be really good friends because they're both kind of goofy and they like to laugh and relax, but their personalities are so different. So, and I don't know, it sounds weird, but I move differently with one partner versus the other.
Okay.
He is more laid back. He's kind of a homebody. And then the other partner, he likes to go out and do things, and he loves to joke around. He sends me the funniest videos every day. But, you know, we have those different dynamics. So it's like feeding all the facets of me. Because sometimes I don't want to go anywhere. Sometimes I just want to relax and not talk, you know. Whereas my other partner, he can carry out a whole conversation by himself, which is fine. Because same thing. Maybe I just don't want to talk, but I want to hear someone talk to me. So they could meet each other and be friends. We never really talked about it. And their schedules are kind of off too. So
okay. I think that's really cool. I know that some people do, like they, everybody knows everybody and everyone interacts with that. I've always been interested, like, how do you balance out the relationships? It's like, are you all in love with one person and then become friends with each other? Or like,
it does happen sometimes.
Okay.
I did meet a poly couple who the wife's boyfriend lived at the house with them.
Okay.
Yeah, but the husband was bi. So eventually it did become a throuple, they call it, but that's unusual, but it happens.
So what, for people who may not know, what exactly is a throuple?
A throuple is basically 3 people in a relationship with each other. So all 3 people are together. So
okay.
Holding hands, kissing, sex, all of it. Whole night.
Okay.
That's not for me. I don't do that.
That's a lot. That's a lot of...
I mean, it sounds great. It sounds fun. At the same time, like, no, because I don't want to share my person when I'm with my person, which sounds odd, right? Because obviously we're sharing. But when it's my time, like, I want my time. Because again, princess, I don't share my time.
So it makes it interesting to say that. So you're comfortable doing poly is because you're getting that individual time with your partners. But the constant of 2 other people, all y'all together all the time, that's too much.
No, I could not. Especially with the one I told you that I would like to, when we finish this series, talk with you about. Like, I can't have him with everyone else. His energy is just so much that it would be overwhelming of my other partner because he's so laid back. It just wouldn't work. Okay, that makes sense. And I could definitely see it's a lot to carry. It's a lot to handle because it's enough to deal with, like, being in a monogamous relationship, how to deal with somebody constantly, like every day, all day, but then to throw another person in there every day, all day. Yeah. On top of work, and kids and the gym and taekwondo, like, no, there's no way. It's too much.
Completely get it. That's a lot. That's a lot. Period. You said timing. How do you balance out? So you've just named all those things you do. You work taekwondo, taking care of kids, everything else. How do you balance your time to be able to see everyone?
So on my days off, well, the days that I'm off that I don't have children, which would be Thursday and Friday. On Thursday nights, I go to taekwondo and we leave at 7 o'clock. By the time I get home, it's like 8. So whatever partner I'm seeing that day has to be okay with, hey, I'm coming over around like 9 o'clock. If you want to go do something, that's fine. But I'm going to the gym at 8 a.m. on Friday. So like I need to go to bed at a reasonable hour. They're usually okay with that. And that's usually my more laid back partner that I meet on Thursdays. Okay. And then the more spirited one, we'll meet on Fridays or Saturdays after work. But if I meet again, Saturdays after work, I let him know I work at 6 a.m. on Sunday. So like, we need to go home at a reasonable hour so I can get some sleep. And they're okay with that, you know?
That's so fun. And again, that goes back to that whole communication space of this. And, you know, being able to talk. I like so loved having you today to have this conversation, because I feel like I know I've had conversations with people who like whisper about this because for whatever reason people think that they should talk about sex with me, and I'm like,
yeah, I get that
what?
a lot.
Yeah, it's just like, it's something about your face. You make me feel comfortable. Let me tell you what's going on in my sex life and how I really feel. I'm like,
awkward.
Okay. And you know, a lot of people state that they wish that they could do X, Y, and Z, but they don't, due to religious upbringings, family upbringings, you know, worrying about, you know, how family members are going to feel. Like, let me ask you about that. How does your family feel, saying that you came from a traditional household? How do they feel about you living this lifestyle?
I don't talk to them about it. It's not their concern. It's not their life. Their life was raising me. I'm an adult. I'm grown. My kids are fine. My kids are safe, healthy, and happy. So it's none of your concern. If you have that relationship where you talk to your parents about those kind of things, then just, you know, be open to the fact that they're going to have their opinions too. My parents are very conservative. My stepfather is a pastor. So having that conversation would not be good, because they are under the impression that you don't do anything unless you're married. My mom's been married 4 times. At some point, the sanctity of marriage goes out the window at that point. So don't talk to me about that. But again, I don't want to be married. So why do I have to be alone just because I don't want to be married? That doesn't make sense. If you say in the Bible that man is not meant to be alone, then marriage should not be the reason why I'm alone, or lack of marriage. So no. And I read the Bible 3 times, so don't come for me. Okay? Just don't. I read it for 5 days.
Do you feel, have you had people come at you about your lifestyle choice and try to come at you in a way of like, well, how could you do this? Why are you doing this? And try to kind of shame you in a way of just living your authentic self?
Yeah, my mother, actually. I had a boyfriend while my marriage was ending, and she's like, well, you shouldn't start one chapter until you close the other one. And I was like, that's not really a thing. It's not really a thing, because my partner is also going out and having his own life outside of the marriage. And so it's something that we talked about, and we were on the same page on that. So I don't really know what to tell you, Mom. You may not like it. You don't have to meet my partners. That's fine. But like, it's not your concern. I hear you. I hear what you're saying, and I'm taking that into consideration, and it's been considered and decided I don't care. So you have to be upfront. It's your life. It's yours. No one else's. No one else can live this for you. So you have to be comfortable with your choices, not the rest of society.
I like it. I absolutely love that we're having this conversation, and I would love to have you back to go more deeper into these other aspects that we've talked about, how Black people are showing up in these spaces, and to, you know, possibly talk with one of your partners and see, you know, their thought process on this. So this is just to be continued versus a goodbye type of thing. All right. So again, I love you guys coming into the space. Thank you so much for coming into According to Courtney. Remember, we're always talking about, you know, great topics that are here to fill your cup, and so that we can make it into next week. Always remember that you are loved, you are honored, you're respected, and you are cherished. and keep in mind to always just take a moment to breathe. And I'm so glad you guys are here. And thank you for having According to Courtney with us. So until next time, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.